All right, guys, it finally happened. I'm gonna be a grandma. So without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, I'm going to be a chameleon grandma. That means that Neptune and Venus have successfully mated, and I now have a fertile clutch of chameleon eggs. So I'm gonna walk you through the process. I'm gonna walk you through the timeline. I'm gonna walk you through next steps, the whole shebang. This video will update you guys on everything that's been happening the last couple months that I've had to keep hush hush on the DL until I kind of like saw how things played out. So if you guys don't know already, I have tried to mate Venus and Neptune previously. It did not go well, to put it lightly. I was very hesitant to try to breed them again because it went so horribly wrong the first time. But this was my Hail Mary. I told myself I would try one final time. One final time. Neptune is 6 years old. This is it. Like, if I don't breed him now, it's not happening. And I really, really, really want to continue Neptune's legacy. I really want to be able to experience firsthand what it's like to have a clutch and hatchlings, because I know so many people are purchasing chameleon eggs, and while I can give you advice on things I've learned, I can't give you advice from firsthand experience. So I want to be able to show you guys how to properly like breed chameleons and safely raise hatchlings and all that. So this was an experience I really wanted to go through, and I don't have much time left because the average life expectancy for a chameleon is 5 to 7 years. So Neptune's getting up there. So this was my Hail Mary. I told myself one final time. So I waited for Venus to lay her infertile clutch. It took her a good couple of months before she started to show signs of being receptive again. And this was the moment of truth. I filmed it all on my tripod. I had my sticks ready to go. I literally had 2 sticks in both hands, fully prepared to intervene. And I was like sweating. I was so nervous of something happening. I was like, even at the slightest sign, I'm separating them. Like, we're not taking any chances. I'm not calling Venus on any bluffs. So I finally introduced them. I put Venus near Neptune's enclosure just to see how she would react, and she was chilling. No response, which is what you want. And Neptune was like, oh hey, and head bobbing and everything, which is exactly what we want. So I was like, okay, step 1, done. I open the enclosure and I put Venus near him. She did not react, which again is what you want. Previously, Venus would like puff up or gape and like get a little defensive, so I know we were heading in the right direction. Then came the moment of truth when I actually had to put them together, and I'm telling you, I was terrified. I'm pretty sure on the video you can hear me like making commentary. So Neptune started pursuing Venus. She was like a little weary, not defensive, just weary, which breeders have told me that's very normal, especially first-time females who have like never mated before. And so I was like, okay. I was like, come on, Neptune, come on, Neptune. And so he pursued her, and Venus didn't react, which again is exactly what we're looking for. She had her receptive colors. I'm sending like pictures to all the different breeders I know. I'm getting coaching, I'm getting mentoring, I'm getting feedback on the whole situation, and it ended up happening. So it took 4.5, 5 hours from the moment I put them, and I took Venus and I put her in Neptune's enclosure because that's what's usually recommended. It took 4.5 hours for them to finally lock. So Neptune is also a first-time breeder. He's never done this before, so it's not uncommon for the males to need a little practice round to figure out what's going on. So there were times where like, and poor Venus, love her. She's just sitting there, just chilling on a branch the entire time, just patiently waiting for Neptune like to figure it out. And there were times where she was facing this way and Neptune was facing this way. And I'm like, wrong direction, buddy. Or he'd finally climb on top of her the correct direction and then just climb over her. Just like keep going, like forgot to stop. And then also there was a time where they were like on top of each other, and I thought it was gonna happen. And then obviously like they're a little clumsy and Neptune's bigger than Venus. And so the two of them just like toppled over. And then there was another time where Neptune didn't quite get a good grip. And then so he was hanging upside down. I think he was holding onto her foot. So I think he thought he was in the right position, because then his hemipenes, the male boy parts, came out. And so that was at least kind of cool because I got to see it and I did get it on camera. But after like an hour of me observing them, Venus was, like I said, so chill, like zero reaction, which is exactly what you want. And Neptune was like making laps, like would climb on her and circle back around, climb on her, circle back around, trying to get in a good position. So I was like, okay, they seem okay. So I left my door open and I'm like kind of watching them. I'm like, maybe they need their privacy. So like I said, 4.5 hours go by. I'm like checking in like every few minutes just to make sure things are good. To be very clear, I did not abandon them. But as I popped in my head, one of the times they were doing it. And I like whipped out my phone to try and catch it. So I only caught the very end of it. So I'll be sure to put that clip here. But you can see Neptune's junk and it kind of like pops out, you know? So I can confirm that they mated once, they locked one time. As soon as that happened, Venus turned super dark and she was like, back off, buddy. And she got super defensive. And again, this is like to be expected. Sometimes they'll mate a couple of times, sometimes they'll lock a couple times, sometimes they'll lock once, and that's it. So I immediately separated her. All was well. Then the next day, per breeder suggestion, they said just try one more time to put them together, and if she's not feeling it, no worries, you got that one lock, and if they mate again, cool. So I put Venus just near Neptune, and she was like, get me away from here. So I was like, okay, say less, girl. And so they just mated that one time. That was on August, hold on, let me look at my notes. August 16th is when they made it. So then it was the 17th, I like showed them again to each other and she said, no way. From the time that they mate to the time that they lay eggs is typically 30 days. For Venus, it ended up being 22 days. So I was weighing her before, during, and then throughout the process. So she gained about 11 grams in that process from when they mated to when she laid her eggs. On day 20, after mating, she started digging test holes. She dug in one of her plants, although she has a lane bin in there. She dug in one of her plants and I was like, oh, it's a little early, but is it go time? So that was day 20. Day 21, she actually dug in her lane bin and she spent the whole day digging the hole. And then on day 22, she actually laid the eggs. So it was actually the weekend of NRBC Dallas. So it was like a very eventful weekend because I was vending for the first time and at the show all day. So I wasn't able to film her actually laying the eggs, but I was able to film her digging her test holes. So I did get that on camera. I did opt to use a clear lane bin in washed play sand. That totally worked out well for Venus. The clear bin was strategic though, because then it's a lot easier to see what I saw where her hole is, but sometimes you don't know where their hole is. Where the eggs were, if it was like a black bin or a solid bin, you couldn't necessarily see. So I lifted it up. I got home from the show on Saturday. I lift up the bin and sure enough, I saw a clump of bright white eggs. And that is the telltale sign that they are fertile, which is absolutely fantastic news. If they were yellowy colored, then those are infertile. I could put a little video of here of what an infertile clutch looks like because she's laid one of those before. So they look completely different than the bright white was. So these were bright white. So then I dug them up. My mom was actually over because she was helping vend the show. And so I was like a little excavator, you know, like paleontologist, dinosaur finder, whatever. And I'm like slowly scooping out the sand to get to the bottom of the eggs, and I was like so nervous I was gonna like not hurt the eggs, but like I don't know, I've never done this before. So I saw the very first egg and they are so tiny. They're like the size of your pinky nail. They look a little tiny tic tac. Bright white, perfectly healthy looking. So I dug them all up. There ended up being 25, which is a perfect clutch size. Ideally, you're looking for 20 to 30 eggs for a good clutch. We can influence the number based off of temperature and food. So this is just really reassuring as a chameleon keeper because this is a testament that I'm doing it right, that my care is on point, I guess. So that was like a really good pat on the back for me as a chameleon keeper. So it ended up being 25 eggs. Some are smaller, some are bigger, but they're all white and solid. There's no like cracks in them or little transparent areas, like they look fantastic, which again is a testament to having proper care. So a little pat on the back. I'm just very excited because you just never know until they lay the eggs. So then I put them in a little like deli container. I guess this is what Framscams uses and recommends, and then some vermiculite, which I soaked in water and then drained so that like I squeezed it, so then it's like holding moisture but isn't soaking wet or like dripping wet. And then I put all my eggs in there, nicely spread out. This is pretty standard to do it like this so we can monitor all the eggs. And now we wait. So there's a chance, so Venus only mated once, so she has this fertile clutch. There is a chance she could have additional fertile clutches. They can retain sperm, so no idea if this is a one and done clutch or if there will be future clutches. I do not have intentions of breeding Neptune and Venus together again at this point. Never say never, but I think like don't want to push my luck. So we have this one clutch of 25 eggs. It usually takes 6 to 9 months for the eggs to incubate. I'm doing what's called the closet method, is you have them in that container with a lid on it and you put them in a dark area. They're being kept at 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Anywhere in the 70s is usually fine, and it can take anywhere from 6 to 9 months for them to start hatching. So at this point, what I'm doing is weighing the whole container of the eggs. Doing this for a couple of reasons. The eggs should get bigger over time as the little embryos start to grow, and also monitoring to make sure that the moisture levels are still good. I'm probably way more involved in this than most breeders who probably like, you know, check on them regularly, but not like, I'm like, you good? You good? Like just looking in there. So the eggs have gained 1 gram since they were laid. So what was that, a couple weeks? Not even a month yet. They've gained 1 gram. I'm a proud chameleon grandma. It's very exciting. Oh, I should mention too, after Venus laid her eggs, I made sure she's been eating as much as she wants. She got extra misting, extra hydration. She's been eating great, pooping great, like she looks fantastic. So I just wanna say kudos to the mama to be, because Venus did a fabulous job of laying her eggs. And I will say digging that little hole was like a lot. They're not diggers, right? Like their feet are not meant for digging. So it was like, it took her all day to dig that hole in her leg bin. So very proud of her. So we are monitoring the eggs at this point, looking for any that start to mold, any that start to shrivel up, just making sure they all stay plump, white, no mold. That's all good. A lot of things can go wrong between now and hatching, and then after hatching as well. Obviously, we're hoping for a 100% hatch rate, but that doesn't happen every time. So there's a chance we may lose, I feel like you guys are involved in this. We may lose a couple eggs, and then after hatching, some eggs just don't, the embryos and hatchlings just don't form correctly, or have some genetic defects, or aren't able to get out of the egg successfully, or pass away, you know, within their first couple weeks. So there are a lot of hurdles to get through, but we're currently in the waiting game. So what I'm doing now is doing so much research on hatchlings, which I've been doing for years, but even more so, and then getting my nursery set up. So all of my baby chameleons will be individually raised, so they each will have their own enclosure, UVB, you know, like sticks and things to climb on, everything else. So this is my first time setting up a hatchling enclosure, first time setting up a nursery. So I'm planning to have 25 enclosures for all 25 babies, hoping that they all make it. The last thing I want to touch on, because I know I'm going to be asked, am I planning on selling the Neptune and Venus babies? And the answer is yes. I will obviously keep 1 or 2 or 3. No, at least 1 for myself, of course. But I do have every intention of finding the rest of the babies amazing homes. I know tons of you are going to be interested in a Neptune and Venus baby. So I do have an application. It's on my website, neptuneandchameleon.com. It's just a questionnaire you fill out and submit, talking through any reptile experience you have, any chameleon experience you have, reasons for why you're wanting a chameleon, if you have a preference for a male or a female, just general questions at this point, because I know there's going to be a lot of interest around this clutch. Like I said, this is a like potentially one and done. I don't know if Venus is going to retain any sperm. There's no way to know. So I'm working under the assumption that this will be my only clutch, which is very exciting, but also means if you're interested in a Venus and Neptune baby, then I highly encourage you to head on over to my website, submit your application, and that will formally put you on the wait list. Once I have them hatched and I know exactly how many hatchlings are healthy and everything else, then I can do like interviews with people, enclosure reviews, all that, and make sure that these babies find fantastic, loving homes. But that's the first step, is just applying, and then I can look through your information and make sure that you are a good fit for a pet chameleon. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, tagging along on this journey. I know so many of you asked if I was going to breed Neptune and Venus again, and I'm so happy to announce that this has a happy ending, because it has been absolutely like, yeah, I want to say horrible, but obviously it's worked out okay in the end. Like, Neptune's good, Venus is okay now, like they're good, the eggs look fantastic. Like, I'm really hoping that all of them hatch, but only time will tell. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for anyone who does show interest in wanting a Neptune and Venus baby. Thank you for anyone who's just along for the ride. I will be posting videos on setting up the nursery, checking on the eggs, all that good stuff. Yeah, so I think that's everything that I wanted to cover in this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave me questions or comments down below. Feel free to subscribe so you know I post a new video. You can follow Neptune and all my chameleons on social media at Neptune the Chameleon. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. No, Luna, we're not doing this. She wanted to be included. This is like the one video that you can't be in. This has nothing to do with you.